All right, everybody, welcome in. We're diving into some local government action today, Flint, Michigan style. We got two September 2024 meetings on the Docket City Council and its Finance Committee. And let me tell you, at first glance, these minutes, they kind of read like a grocery list. Just a bunch of items, all business-like, not exactly a page-turner. But our listeners, they got a nose for intrigue. They flagged these for us for a reason. And like a good mystery novel, I got a feeling we're going to uncover some surprises.
Yeah, you know what they say about still waters.
Oh, they run deep, don't they?
That's right, and in the world of local government, those quiet-looking documents, they often hide the juiciest stories. Tales of money, influence, and the age-old question, who's really looking out for the residents. And speaking of money, the first thing that jumps out, like it's circled in red ink on every page, is ARPA funds. It's like that acronym's got its own spotlight in these meetings.
It's clear those American Rescue Plan Act funds are top of mind for the council right now. And understandably so. We're talking serious cash here, a real chance for Flint to bounce back. But it's how they're handling these funds that's got my attention. Take resolution #240581 in the city council minutes, for example. That one's all about ARPA allocation.
Oh yeah, that one caught my eye too, but there's a catch, right? A bit of a head scratcher. The minutes mention this whole spreadsheet, detailing how ARPA funds have already been spent. But guess what? It's missing in action, vanished like a magician's rabbit. No spreadsheet in the documents you sent us.
It's like finding a treasure map with a big chunk ripped right out of it. Why is this info under lock and key? Transparency should be a given, not a privilege. And holding back this spreadsheet, it just fuels suspicion.
Oh, absolutely. And you can practically hear the frustration in the public comments. One resident, they put it plain and simple, we deserve to know where every dollar's going. It's our money, our future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This isn't about nosiness. It's about accountability, making sure those decisions up top actually reflect what the people need.
Right on. So we got some potential transparency issues with these ARPA funds, that's clear. But the council's plate, it's never just one course, is it? Public safety, that's another dish served up repeatedly.
Absolutely, and you can't ignore it. The Finance Committee minutes, they go into detail about an appropriation for police overtime. Now, on the surface, this could be standard procedure, just keeping the lights on, right? But it does make you wonder, is this a reaction to something? More crime. Are there areas in Flint that need extra attention? It's a detail that begs further investigation.
It's like one of those breadcrumbs Hansel and Gretel were dropping. Gotta follow it and see where it goes. And it's not just the money allocated, it's the voices, too. Several residents, they stepped up during public comment, and their message was clear. They're worried. One person talked about their street, said it was overrun with abandoned houses. And those empty homes, they're not just an eyesore. They attract crime, drag down property values, the whole 9 yards.
That's a gut punch right there. It speaks to a bigger issue, one that plagues so many cities. Blight. Those neglected properties, they're like a broken window. They signal neglect, and that can spiral.
Yeah.
The fact that this came up again and again, this makes you wonder, are those in charge really in touch with what folks are living with every day?
It's a disconnect, that's for sure. So we've got ARPA funds shrouded in mystery and folks feeling like their safety concerns aren't getting through. But wait, there's more. Because we haven't even touched on the drama unfolding within the council itself. Reading these minutes, it's like overhearing a whispered argument.
Spirited debate, that's what they call it in the official record. But let's be honest, those votes on the ARPA funds, that's where the real story's at. You start connecting the dots, see who voted with who, and a pattern emerges. Council members, we'll call them X, Y, and Z for now, consistently shot down any ARPA spending on infrastructure. What's that tell you? Could be a faction, different priorities, maybe a whole other vision for the city.
A little political chess match played out right there in the minutes. And then, just when you think you're starting to understand the players, bam, curveball, that whole Goyette mechanical situation.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher.
They were supposed to vote on a contract, then out of the nowhere, postponed, no explanation given.
And here's where it gets juicy. Remember that controversial construction project back in 2022, the one with all the whispers? Goyette Mechanical, they were smack dab in the middle of it. This delay, it could be cold feet, maybe concerns about transparency rearing their head again. Or it could be something bigger, deeper disagreements about the project itself, skeletons in the closet, who knows?
It's like they hit the to be continued button right at the climax, leaving us hanging on a cliffhanger. What's the backstory? What aren't they telling us?
That's the thing about meeting minutes. They're just a snapshot, a glimpse behind the curtain, but never the whole picture. You get the what, but the why, the whispers, the backroom deals. That's what we're here to uncover.
Makes you realize City Hall, it ain't always as boring as it sounds.
That's right. There's always more beneath the surface. And that's where you, dear listeners, you become the detectives. These minutes, they're not the end of the story. They're just the beginning.
Yeah, like a trail of breadcrumbs, right? Gotta follow them to see where they lead. And speaking of breadcrumbs, remember that missing ARPA spreadsheet? That's one heck of a crumb.
Oh, absolutely. That's got to be top of the list for any amateur sleuth. First stop, city website, always a goldmine. You'd be surprised what ends up online these days. And don't forget about public records requests, your secret weapon. That's right, you got legal right to access government documents, no special password needed. And hey, if you're feeling brave, pick up the phone, give your council member a call. They work for you, after all. A little question never hurt.
Exactly, and let's be real, not everyone's a spreadsheet whiz, myself included. But those council votes, now those are interesting, like little tells in a poker game.
Oh, telling is an understatement. Those votes are a roadmap to what's really going on. You see who's aligned with who's always voting together, who's the lone wolf. It's like a crash course in local politics.
And it matters, right? Because these aren't just names on a piece of paper. These are the folks making decisions about your streets, your schools, your tax dollars. Are they spending your money the way you would? Are they fighting for the things you care about? That's the kind of stuff you got to know, especially come election time.
Speaking of elections, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Information is power and all that, but what can I actually do about it?
Right, because it's one thing to be a armchair quarterback. It's another thing to actually get in the game.
And that's where things get really interesting, my friend. Level 1, as we talked about, contact those council members directly. Make your voice heard. But level 2, show up in person or virtually at those council meetings.
Oh yeah, forget Netflix. We're talking real-life drama with twists and turns you won't see coming.
And it's not just about watching, it's about participating, making your presence known. Remember those residents we talked about? The ones feeling ignored? This is how you change that. You sit in those virtual seats, you listen, you take notes, you become a part of the process.
And most importantly, when that public comment period rolls around, that's your time to shine.
That microphone, it's like a direct line to those in charge. Don't underestimate the power of speaking your truth, sharing your concerns, even if your voice shakes a little.
It's your chance to put those dry meeting minutes into flesh and blood, you know?
Yeah.
To remind everyone, there are real people behind those decisions.
Exactly, because let's face it, those minutes, they don't always capture the whole story. It's like reading a restaurant review versus actually tasting the food yourself.
Attending the meeting, that's like getting the chef's special, the behind-the-scenes experience.
And who knows, you might even find yourself getting hooked. There's a certain thrill to witnessing democracy in action, even if it's a little messy sometimes.
It's like a political thriller, but instead of watching it on TV, you're right there in the writer's room.
And you, my friend, you're not just a character. You're a co-author in this story of your city.
But hey, not everyone's cut out for public speaking, and that's okay.
Right, you don't got to deliver a rousing speech to make a difference.
Exactly. Sometimes a whisper can be just as powerful as a shout, right?
Now you're talking. And that brings us to level 1, the OG of civic engagement. Pick up that phone, draft an email, slide into your council members' DMs, politely, of course.
It's like having a direct line to the folks holding the reins.
And you'd be surprised, sometimes a well-written email, that's all it takes to get the ball rolling.
It's all about building bridges, right? Making those connections, letting them know what's on your mind.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, those council members, they're not just faces in a pamphlet. They're your neighbors. They shop at the same grocery stores, cheer for the same teams, maybe.
Okay, so we've covered levels 1 and 2, contacting your representatives and showing up at those meetings.
Right. But there's one more level, the boss level, if you will.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Level 3 is all about community, about joining forces, building a movement.
There's that saying, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Now you're getting it, because nothing speaks louder than a united front. Let's say you're passionate about those parks we talked about, right? Instead of just complaining to your neighbor over the fence, why not organize a neighborhood meeting?
Right. Pool your resources, brainstorm ideas. 2 heads are better than 1, and 10 heads are even better.
And hey, while you're at it, invite your council member down. Let them see firsthand what needs fixing.
It's harder to ignore a problem when it's staring you right in the face, right?
You got that right, because a group of passionate residents, that's a force to be reckoned with.
So there you have it, folks. From deciphering those cryptic meeting minutes to starting a full-blown movement, there's a level of civic engagement for everyone.
And the best part is, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, we've just scratched the surface here, giving you a taste of what's possible.
Your own deep dive into Flint's civic life. Who knows where it'll lead?
That's the beauty of it. It's an adventure, full of twists and turns and unexpected discoveries.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these Flint City Council meetings, we'll leave you with this. What will you uncover? What actions will you take? Because at the end of the day, an informed and engaged citizenry, that's the heart and soul of a thriving democracy.
Couldn't have said it better myself, so keep asking those tough questions, stay curious, and remember, your voice, it matters. Until next time, folks, keep fighting the good fight, and we'll see 'em in the minutes.